We have some breaking news to discuss as Elliotte Friedman has reported that Nylander and the Toronto Maple Leafs are nearing an extension that could be finalized as soon as tomorrow. And this report also highlights the exact amount of money and term he's going to get. So we'll break that down in this episode of Leafs Digest, as well as Martin Jones. He continues to dominate, and Sheldon Keefe had a lot to say and a lot of praise for the goaltender. So stay tuned for all that. Before we do get into it, a quick reminder to hit the subscribe button. We notice about 80% of you who are watching right now are not subscribed, and it would mean the world if you could scroll down and hit that button, because if you're watching, you're probably not subscribed. So scroll down and check. It would mean the world to us as we're on the road to 6,000 subscribers. All right, let's get into the video. We have a lot to discuss today. Kind of breaking news as it dropped yesterday during the Canada show with the Elliotte Friedman. And it's interesting. It's just very big. Friedman reported some things. We had a couple other people reporting some things. And Nylander himself spoke out and kind of hinted that a deal could be finalized very, very soon. So let's start with the first report by Elliotte Friedman. He said the Leafs will fly back to Toronto tomorrow, and Nylander contract could be done as soon as Monday, as William Nylander and the Maple Leafs are closing in on an 8-year extension worth around 11.5 AAV. So some people are saying 11.2, some people are saying 11.5. Whatever it is, that is a lot of money for Nylander, but it seems like it is going to be finalized very soon in the coming days, possibly as early as tomorrow. It's Sunday, January 7th, as of the time of recording, and I don't know. I still don't really know how to feel. We made a video about this a few days ago that they could be nearing an extension, but then in my video yesterday, some reports came out that although it's still expected to get done, that the deals and the talks were kind of cooled off, and now it seems like they are fully ramping up and ready to get done. And this is what William Nylander said yesterday after their win on the idea of signing long-term. That would be a dream to stay here, to play for such an organization. I call Toronto home, so that'd be a very special feeling. So, they asked him after the game. They also asked kind of like, do you think you're going to sign? Do you expect a deal to get done? And he kind of winked and smiled and said, we'll see. So everything is pointing to William Nylander signing a long-term extension with the Maple Leafs. And now again, the question that we've been talking about over the past few days is this going to age well? Will this be a good deal? And again, this has been the story of kind of the season. We think back all the way to the start of the season before it really started. We were hoping that an extension would get done in the summer before the season started, because that would have been the best time for Brad Treliving to ink that extension for a number of reasons. Obviously, he would have not costed $11.5 million. We know how good he's been this season. He has played himself into a much bigger contract than originally expected. I think there were reports that the Leafs were looking between $8 and $10 million, 10 being the high side, 8 being the low side, probably around 9.5 million AAV over 8 years to sign Nylander in the summer. And Nylander bet on himself, and ultimately it paid off in great dividends for him, as he's now gotten about a $2 million per year AAV increase into what they could have been in the summer. But even if they would have asked, and Brad Treliving would have potentially, let's say, offered William Nylander $10.5 million in the summer, it probably would have got the job done. And that's what's going to be interesting to see over the next coming weeks, is that hopefully some reports come out maybe highlighting what the Leafs offer was in the summer compared to what the Leafs offer is now. Obviously, the Leafs offer now is $11.5 million. But that's a big increase to what the Leafs were willing to pay, to what was expected to be kind of paid for William Nylander, especially among other teams. But it's at a point now where you can't really go back on this. He's playing so well. He's a part of your future. He wants to be in Toronto. And when you have a top 10, top 15, whatever player, winger, on your team, and he wants to stay in Canada, wants to stay in Toronto, you absolutely have to sign him. It just sucks that it costs this much money and that we had to do it mid-season. But again, you cannot be upset. Us as Leafs fans will be able to enjoy the moment for the next 8 years, and hopefully he continues and lives up to that play and does what Austin Matthews did since he signed his contract and be one of the best players and the best goal scorer in the NHL. And if you look at the 2025-2026 projected cap, which is about $92.5 million, you have Austin Matthews taking up about 13, Marner hypothetical 12, Nylander will be at 11.5, Tavares at 6. So then that's about 50% of the cap within those 4 players. And you obviously have to fill in the rest. There's been some talks of a Tyler Bertuzzi. A lot of fans want him to be extended. He's been playing really well, especially over the past 10 or 15 games. He's really starting to be the player that he was in Detroit. He's starting to be the player that we and the Leafs signed up for when they first signed him this offseason. And now we're at a point where, I don't know, I'm happy with William Nylander. I'm happy with the extension. It is a little bit tough to swallow the amount of money, but I think as Leafs fans in general, you knew it had to get done. There was really no other option here, I guess, aside from let him walk in this offseason, but that would have been detrimental for the culture. I've spoken about it before. It wouldn't have looked good for other players, maybe potentially looking to sign in the organization, potential draft picks. You have to sign the homegrown talent to a long-term deal, and ultimately 8 years, $11.5 million, so about $92 million. That is a lot of money for William Nylander, and this is kind of a few thoughts. This is from Nick D'Souza here. There's a few people, and this is kind of what the Leafs fans' consensus is. Letting him walk for nothing would have looked bad, especially for Brad Treliving. Obviously, we look back to the Gaudreau situation where he left, or got traded and left. Treliving does not want to do that again, especially because Brad Treliving just came to Toronto. He wants to leave a good impression on the ownership. He wants to leave a good impression on the fans. And again, like I just mentioned, the right time to sign him was in the summer. He has tons of leverage now and overpay him, find value in free agency, and hope promising prospects hit. Easton Cowher, Fraser Minton, Abrazizi, all these guys come to mind. We have Dennis Hildeby. Like, there's a lot of prospects that we have to hope hit now because they won't take too much into the salary cap. We'll probably be relying on Fraser Minton next year, given his low salary number, especially when you have a lot of these guys. We have John Tavares, whose contract is nearing the end of it, and he's hopefully maybe going to take a hometown discount, even though that is almost questionable. So there was a lot of stuff that went into this. The time to sign him was in the summer. He has all the leverage in the world now. Shout out to William Nylander. He did exactly what he should have done. He bet on himself. He knew he was going to be one of the best players in the NHL, and ultimately he was. And he probably he's been the best winger, not the best, but one of the best wingers in the NHL this season. And I don't know. It's an interesting conversation to have. We'll see how this contract ages. I know a lot of fans are upset with the Mitch Marner contract, which isn't as bad as maybe it seems to be, but he's not having a great season here. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this deal. And we'll have another video when it officially breaks, but for now, it seems like this is the way that it is going to go in the future for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, speaking of the future a little bit, or the short-term future, the temporary future, let's discuss Sheldon Keefe speaking out on Martin Jones. Martin Jones with another great win yesterday. Dennis Hildeby has yet to start a game, and if they were going to start him in any game, yesterday would have been another good one against the San Jose Sharks, a team who has not been very good at all, been struggling heavily this season. And again, Nylander there said we'll see you with the deal. But Martin Jones on the road trip, 3 wins, only let in 2 goals on 83 shots, 97.6 save percentage, and a shutout. Martin Jones has been the unsung hero for the Toronto Maple Leafs. You can say anyone. You can say Matthews has been a hero. Martin Jones, especially over the past week or two, has been the unsung hero for the Maple Leafs. Who knows what they would have done if they didn't make that signing? Huge shout out to the front office for that, and Brad Treliving for bringing in Martin Jones in a minor league deal there in the AHL. But you're looking at this and you're like, Samsonov, been horrible. Dennis Hildeby is still a prospect. Joseph Woll went down with an injury. All these guys coming into the season, your 1A was Samsonov, your 1B was Joseph Woll. They obviously ended up flipping. And you don't expect Martin Jones to have as big of an impact as he has had for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And he has been unbelievable. And Sheldon Keefe basically said on Saturday, coming into the season, you're focused on Wall and Samsonov, and you're happy that you have the depth, and you're certainly thrilled that he got through the waivers to remain with us, but you're not overly focused on him, and that is specifically regarding Ilya Samsonov, which is a bit of an interesting kind of tidbit there, and that's the point now. They're not focused on Samsonov whatsoever right now. Yes, he's still with the Marlies. Technically, he's not playing. Yes, he cleared waivers, which is a good thing. They still have that depth in the future, but Martin Jones is the goalie that he's going to be the 1B and the backup goaltender in all likelihood when Joseph Woll returns after the All-Star break, and I mean, at this point, I don't know what else you expect from Martin Jones. He's been unbelievable. You can make an argument based on the way he's playing that you just ride the hot hand, even if Joseph Woll comes back, and kind of ride Martin Jones as your 1A and let Joseph Woll be your 1B and get him in less games, but slowly start to ramp him up as he comes back from his big injury. There's an argument to be made for that. It's probably likely that something like that does happen until Martin Jones starts to cool off. We've seen Martin Jones be good in the past for a variety of teams, numerous teams, and a number of teams over the number of years. But now he's 33 years old, and it's going to be interesting to see how long he can hold up. He's not super old by any means. There's other free agent goalies out there that are 38, 39. Yaroslav Halak comes to mind. And we were talking about a potential goalie acquisition by Brad Treliving. We know that he tried to get a goalie for a 6th-round pick desperately over the past couple of weeks. I think they just ride it right now. They clearly don't have enough. I'm not going to say they don't have enough faith in Dennis Hildeby, because they clearly do if they called him up, but they don't want him to be playing in NHL games right now until it's absolutely necessary. But that'll wrap up the video. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are on the Nylander extension. Again, we'll have another video with Darius once it breaks to actually break it down. But in the meantime, I don't know. It's an interesting one. Nylander's an interesting player, unbelievable player, and I'm happy he's going to be with the Leafs long term. And also let me know on Martin Jones. Thank you guys for watching. See you tomorrow.